Welcome, everyone. I want to introduce our summer intern from Duke Divinity School in case people haven't had a chance to get to know him yet. So, Chapman, say hello and introduce yourself to us.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Jason. I'm Chapman. My family's out in Washington State, the other Washington, and my upbringing was in Scotland. We moved out there for 13 years because my parents were going to do PhDs at St. Andrews, and then Dad got tired of that pretty quick, so he became a pastor. Mom finished out strong, and then they kind of switched around. Dad was a stay-at-home dad at first, and then he became a pastor. Mom took over in the home. We were there till 2013. Came back to
What did you What did you like most about growing up in Scotland?
Mm. I think now I look back on the small town environment that I was in as probably a little more idyllic than it was. I was a bit of a bad kid. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell the church this, but I got in lots of trouble. But it was a safe place to get in lots of trouble. The trouble I got into was mostly like, digging things in the woods and trying to trap people in there. And I would get in fights with the three other boys in my class. We were in a a 2-room schoolhouse. Every Thursday, the we'd pause for an hour so that Colin Presley, who was an elder in our church, could herd his sheep through the schoolyard, and all the kids would stand at the doors and make sure they didn't go into the school. It was pretty idyllic. I knew everyone. Everyone knew me, for better for worse. And I think a lot of it came down to my parents just being a wonderfully enchanted household makers. And we were always reading Bible stories and also reading Narnia and Lord of the Rings. And the world just seemed like a place full of magic and God kind of hand in hand.
It must be amazing to grow up reading Tolkien and George MacDonald in Scotland.
Yes, I did not know it at the time. You only know you love her when you let her go. That kind of stuff. I've since realized, since coming, being back in the US, how cool it was to be in Scotland. But yes, we would, George MacDonald lived 35 minutes away from Methlick, where I grew up, and so we would visit his house. And at the time, I probably complained about it, but now I know people who pay to go on conferences to go and see his house. So little funny reversals like that. But I mean, it really was the storytelling and the yeah, the fantasy that made me fall in love with the Lord and the church, I think.
Hmm. So I mentioned on Sunday, you are our intern because your mom made sure that you were assigned to me.
Oh, yes.
And so I am internet friends with your mom,
Hmm.
and and I know of your dad. And so talk a little bit about their role in shaping you as a believer.
Yeah, it's sometimes really hard for me to honestly separate my family life from my faith life, sort of for the first 15 years of my life. And that's mostly because mom did such an incredible job of bringing traditions into our home that felt really fun and exciting, and also were sort of closeted ways of parenting us slash teaching us about the life of the church. I mean, I can think of, for Christmas, we would have a little cradle, a little manger that was wood, and we would get to put a little piece of hay into the manger whenever we were kind to a sibling. And whenever we were mean to a sibling, we would have to take out a piece of hay from the manger. And come Christmas Eve, the
Just
Christ
like your
child.
name in the book of life. Just
Yes,
erase it,
exactly.
write it back in, erase it.
But depending on our kindness to one another during Advent, mom would tell us that the Christ child would either have a fresh, comfortable bed of hay or a very scrawny, uncomfortable bed of hay. So that's just an example of some of the ways that we were both parented and subtly theologized by my brilliant theologian mother. There are endless examples of those traditions. Dad was the storyteller. He would make up all kinds of stories. And I think there was never any kind of firm line drawn between what we were hearing from the Bible and what we were hearing from all these sort of lovely myths and legends, except that the Bible was the place where we knew that the myths became true, which was a wonderful way to not feel like I had to I had to throw away the wonder of, dragons and magic and elves and dwarves and all that kind of stuff. But actually realize that the world is full of that, and the church is the place where we realize that those myths became reality
That's
in
great.
Christ.
So, what was your first year at Duke Divinity School like?
It was good. In some ways, it was a slap in the face. Academically, it was fantastic. I loved my professors. I loved my classes. But a good number of these students are philosophically brilliant and maybe don't get out enough to play sports or read fairy tales. And sometimes I wish there was a little more of an overlap between those things. But really lovely. I feel like learning wise, it was the highest quality education I've ever received for sure. But sometimes I wanted my feet to be a little more rooted in the dirt and the sand and the grass. I felt like we were up in the clouds sometimes.
So, if you have fun priorities for your time in the DC area this summer, what do you want to do for fun?
Well, I'm not sure how many parishioners are interested in ultimate frisbee or beach volleyball or spike ball, but I would love to play any of those things with anyone of any age and ability. I do just love sports and games, and I think going to school in California probably solidified that, although I had that all growing up too. I am definitely interested in seeing the sights, and I'd love to see the cathedral and some of the monuments, but really for me, what keeps me sane is playing. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, if the gospel's true, then Christians should never be too self-serious.
Hmm.
So,
Here,
yeah.
here.
So, give us a little foretaste of things to come with Chapman Canlis at Annandale United Methodist Church.
Yes. So, two things I'm really excited about. The first being Taize nights, some contemplative prayer nights that I'm hoping to lead here. Taize is a monastery in France. I know you've been. They welcome anywhere from a few hundred young people to a few thousand young people every week to participate in their common life, which is prayer, work, food, and play. I mean, I remember the first time I went there, I went to a field and there were like these 8 teams of soccer teams kind of waiting around this field, and I asked each team, and it was their version of the World Cup, where each country that had shown up had put forward their best players, and they were doing a round robin World Cup to see which group was the best. So that's going on. Everyone who shows up volunteers some of their time to do work to keep everything self-sustaining. But everything is centered around the prayers that happen 3 times a day. This was really one of the first times where I felt like I wasn't trying to fit kind of prayer into my schedule. The whole schedule is prayer. Those are the most important things that happen throughout the day. You never miss those. The bells go off, and you have 10 minutes to get to the church, and everything else can sort of fit in around the prayers, which is a cool reversal. But I'm hoping to do something like one of those prayers here. They sing multiple songs in multiple languages, usually representing all the people who are showing up for that week. And they're very simple melodies, very simple tunes, saying things like, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom, or Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And you just sing these things over and over again. And it's beautiful, it's powerful. And in the midst of all that singing, praying, talking, playing, the brothers insist that silence is kind of the core of what's going on at Taize. And so in each prayer, there is an extended communal silence that does not feel empty. It feels very full and beautiful. And if you spend a week there in silence, you'll learn that they're not trying to make you say nothing. They're just trying to get you to be attentive to what's happening around you. And you start to see little miracles here and there that you would otherwise miss as ordinary, mundane things. So I'm hoping to lead us in some of those Taize prayers. It's very simple. People can just show up. I will be singing. Anyone who wants to sing along with me is welcome to. There'll be music printed out. It'll be maybe 45 minutes to an hour long. We will share silence together.
When is this happening? What time? What day? Where?
Great questions, Jason. Taize nights will be happening on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. here at the church. The other thing I'm hoping to get going soon is a Godspeed Bible study. Kind of, it comes from this this documentary that my dad made about his time in Scotland, about how Eugene Peterson, who was one of his mentors in seminary, sent him to Scotland to learn how to be a pastor in a fishbowl, where he couldn't be anonymous, where he had to be known by everyone, where he had to be face to face, learning names in a parish, walking around the parish, knocking on doors every week, and just living life with people. So there wasn't so much of a lights, camera, action stage presence, and there was much more of a theology of the ordinary, as my mom might say. But he would do Bible studies with people where he basically takes the Jesus invitation frequently to come and see, and have people in the Bible study sort of imagine what it would have been like to come and see. And so you sort of put on your movie director thinking cap, and we go very slowly through short stories, and we try and picture what's happening. And I, as the leader, only ask two questions. I say, "What do you see?" And I say, "Guess what happens next?" And there's no wrong answers. There are all kinds of funny, fun, creative answers we've had over the years. But when you really picture these things and you take it out of the black and white word and you put it into flesh and imagined pictures, people remember these stories amazingly. And often at the end, I'll have people tell the story back to me. And even if it's not word for word what happened, it's scene for scene exactly what happened. And it's beautiful. So I'm hoping to start that as well. Wednesday nights, same time, I think 7, possibly 7:30, but I think it'll be 7
Okay.
here at the church. Yes, and we're still working on something, some kind of men's group. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to happen. That will probably be coming out in a week or two, and maybe some young adult stuff as well. But primarily the Taize nights and the Godspeed Bible study, open to all. If you want to bring really young kids, that might not be the best idea for the Taize night, because it is contemplative prayer night and we won't have anyone to look after kids. But I would say from 12 and 13 all the way up to 90. You can be 100 too if you want. You'd be welcome.
Okay. So Taize nights, Godspeed Bible study, and if there are any dudes listening to this who are interested in a men's group, they should seek you out and let you know.
Yes, please. We would love to get something going.
So how can people get in touch with you, Chap?
Good question. I do have a very official intern at annandale-umc.org email. I respond better to text or call. So I can also, I don't know if this is standard practice, but I can give out my phone number now. If that's
Go
helpful.
for it. Go for it.
Okay. That's 509-491-7104. Please call or text me. I'd love to be in touch.
Awesome. Well, it's already been good getting to know you, and I look forward to the summer.
Thank you, Jason.
All right. Don't log out until